The economy is front and center in the election, and this week Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton both laid out their plans for an American recovery. But according to economist and author Ben Stein, both plans still need some major work. He says Trump's plan makes 0 sense, and Clinton's plan violates the Constitution. Ben Stein joins me now. Ben, it is great to see you. Those are some serious...
Great to see you.
Serious accusations. So let's start with the Trump not making any sense. Were there parts you liked, parts you didn't like? What works for you?
Well, the parts that make no sense at all are cutting the corporate tax rate to 0. There's no point in that whatsoever. The idea behind that is that we will somehow generate more capital, but we have more capital than we know what to do with now. The world is just awash in capital. The idea of cutting tax on the ultra-rich, that's just insane. I mean, the ultra-rich have more money than they need. They're not short of money. We don't need their money for capital. We have all the capital we need. They consume too much and their lives are way too lavish. I live right among them. The decadence of their lives is incredible. But let me also say, he wants to drastically cut environmental regulation, and that is a brilliant idea. Environmental regulation has gotten way out of control. I value clean water as much as anyone. I helped draft the Clean Air Act for Mr. Nixon. I value clean everything. I like everybody to be clean, clean, clean. But too much regulation is killing the economy. So that part of the Trump plan is brilliant. Okay,
so what about the child tax, the child care deductions, those kinds of things that would benefit families? He got some credit for that. Others who thought it didn't go far enough.
I think it should go even farther in the sense that we do need to have every kind of support we can for child care. The real problem with child care, though, is not so much what it costs. Well, for certain families, it's what it costs. But for other families, there's a great shortage of decent child and skilled child care workers. So I'm not sure the tax plan will help that. But I'd like to, if I may, while I'm still alive and breathing, skip over to the Hillary part.
Let's go there, because you said there are parts that are unconstitutional. In what ways?
At what point, she was getting herself all worked up into that landlady's voice, get your kids' bicycles out of the hall, which my friend Peggy Noonan writes about so well. And she was saying, we're going to not only penalize companies that move overseas, we're going to penalize ones that moved overseas. Even when it was legal, we're going to put a tax on people who did things that were legal. That's against the Constitution. The Constitution forbids ex post facto legislation. It's flatly forbidden in the Constitution. Hillary was 2 years behind me at Yale Law School. I'm sure she studied constitutional law. She must know that. Where did she get that wacky idea?
Well, certainly not from you. But let's talk about deficits as well, because you think that both of them haven't done enough or are actually contributing to the deficit issues that we have. And that's a serious problem, top to bottom, here in the U.S.
Well, we've got a roughly, very, very roughly, $19 trillion federal deficit. We're never going to be able to pay that. There's going to have to be some kind of default one way or the other. Now, Mr. Trump's plan will add to the deficit mightily. There's a little bit of a wacky thing going on here, Shannon, which is it doesn't seem to be affecting the economy very much, even if we run these large deficits, even if they're financed with printing money from the printing press. That should generate a lot of inflation. It's not generating a lot of inflation, although I do notice that a can of Le Sueur peas is $2.79, which is a lot more than it used to be at my grocery store. Anyway, but we do not need anything to increase the supply of capital. We don't need anything, but we do need to get this deficit down. We've got to really, really work on this. Otherwise, my granddaughter, my lovely Cora, my granddaughter, is going to face a default at some point. I'll be long dead, but she's going to face a default, and it's going to be an ugly day.
Yeah, there are serious long-term issues. And by the way, the Le Sueur peas are different and better. I get those for company, just regular store brand on a regular week, though. So I understand your pain.
Wait a minute, what regular store brand? wait a minute, what regular store brand?
I got to go. Well, we'll talk about it during the commercial. And the Le Sueur peas, that's for company. Ben Stein, great to have you. See you again soon.